You got to internalize what he saw, what you saw, and what he said. So I got to internalize that word on the inside of me. When I internalize it, faith doesn't come just by hearing. You have to believe what you are hearing is for you, because you will not pursue what you don't believe. And how you believe what God has for you is you internalize it. You eat that thing. I don't know how I'm going to be global, but I'm going to be global. I don't know how he's going to make it work, but he's going to make it work. I don't know where the money is either coming from. But do you know every step of the way he provided the money for where I needed to be at? Because I internalized it and it started to do something on the inside of me. I start to walk different, think different, talk different. And then what happens is I start to get faith welling up on the inside of me that comes to the boldness. And I remember I was at a conference and I said, I'm a global teacher, and I had a person look at me and say, who does he think he is, a global teacher? And I turned to him and said, well, I'm global because during COVID, everything reset. And the platforms where high speakers were in high demands, they didn't make the shift to be online. So what it did was it opened up a time for Chris to pop his head in there long enough to show up. And then I started speaking in Africa virtually. I started speaking in different places, Indonesia, virtually. So then she said, well, you're COVID global. Don't let nobody wash out your dream. Because they can't see what God has saw. They can't hear what God has heard. They can't even internalize to get the faith of where they believe. But after she heard me speak and she heard the testimony, she came back and said, could you hook me up? So the very people that are being the ones that are telling you can't do something, when you start shining in what God has to do, it's not my job to be able to say no, dear, but there's a $5,000 coaching package that she can sign up for. Right? Because I know my worth. I know what God has called me to be. I know what he positioned me to do, and I'm doing just that. Faith is not I'm believing for something just to be believing. I'm going to give you a practical understanding of faith. Faith is corresponding, suitable, appropriate action to what you are believing God for based off of his word. When you just say faith is hope, you get lost in hope sometimes. But when you realize that I can understand what you're believing for by what you're doing. So when I got faith to be a believer, I set my website up. I go to Arthur and get my PR package together. And I go there. I connect with the right people. I know what to spend my money on now. Because I don't spend my money on just anything now, because I'm spending my vacation time thinking about what my next step is. I'm not just dating anybody. I'm dating my wife, and me and my wife are talking about purpose things. Why? Because that's what he saw, that's what he heard. I internalized that. I got faith, and I'm living my life doing what I believe God said do. And that last letter is T, which when you do all those, you transition. You transition into your purpose. And what do I mean by that? What happens is when you were struggling, you didn't know who you were. You were struggling, you didn't know where you were going to come from. You didn't know how it was going to happen. But you start doing all those things and you don't realize. I get testimonies where people coming back and say, Chris, it looks like you're everywhere. And I'm looking at myself and saying, am I? I heard my wife and she's like, yeah, you everywhere. It don't feel like I'm everywhere. But I'm everywhere that I need to be. My face is starting to become known when you walk in the room and they can say, that's Champ. But behind the Champ, I want them to see Jesus. Because the whole reason why he's giving me the wealth and I'm walking into rooms where people have more money than I can even think of was the reason why, is because he's positioning me so that I can be an ambassador of wealth. And not the wealth of financial wealth. That's a side benefit. I'm talking about the wealth that the kingdom brings. Because he says wealth and riches he gives you, and he has no sorrow. How many of you rich people you've met that have nothing but sorrow? 10 different alimony checks. I'm staying with the same chick. It's cheaper that way. We learned each other well. But I'm saying that, are you hearing my heart? Because when you walk in this thing, what happens is you end up transitioning into your purpose. Not stumbling, not wishing. You start walking the journey of faith. And what happens is you look up and you all of a sudden see yourself where God showed you. Did I give you something practical today? Yes. Because the reason why we're doing this was to set the tone for the conference, because this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning word of what you're about to receive in here. Prophetically, God is going to be placing some things in your hearts and birthing some things and cultivating some things. But you're going to be willing to be able to say, God, I am going to shift. I'm going to see the way that you see. I'm going to hear the way that you're hearing it. I got to internalize and say that that word that that brother spoke was for me. That word that that sister spoke, that was for me. And then when you start believing it, you start to walk it out, because I have to have faith, and I start to walk faith. And what happens again? You transition into your purpose. And that's what God is going to do this weekend. He's transitioning us into your purpose. Say it with me. Embrace the shift. I am embracing the shift. I am embracing the shift. Because I'm going to get all that God has for me. Amen?
Excellent. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Give it up for Mr. Champ. I am. Yes, indeed. He's late. Yeah. Did you know something? He said shift. Shift. Did you remember the acronym? You know? S. C. H.
Yes, she has that dyslexia, don't worry about it. Let's just turn this off real quick.